Hey, welcome to the Wedding to War podcast, which is what we would call the kitchen counter or kitchen sink of our organism. We have the conference, which is basically our front door. Everybody's welcome. Then we have war parties, small groups, that is our living room. And then this is kind of like the after party ish, where everyone's just snacking on the charcuterie board, finishing up the wine. Tyson's doing the dishes.
Well, it's hot water right now because it's January.
It's
We're
January.
dry.
Yep. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with us.
I want to talk about the conference, and I know you have some stuff you want to talk about too. Um, but I wanted you to kind of interact with this in real time. So I was getting up the gumption to ask somebody to come to the conference, and it's somebody that I've been, we've hung out a couple times. I see him all the time, and I finally get the guts. I'm like, hey, I'm officially inviting you to our conference. He knows about it. He knows about the book, yada yada. And he turns to me and he's like, yeah, marriage conference, not really my thing. And I've thought about that so much since it happened. And the reason why I keep thinking about it is because what I should have said is, yeah, me neither. That's why I started a marriage conference. You're right. It's all freaking bouquets
Yeah.
and potpourri and it's all pink and purple. And I'm not about that life. And so I started this thing called Wed Into War, a call to arms. And so that's what the conference is.
Yeah.
Like it's geared towards this is difficult. This is warfare, but you are designed and you are capable of
Yes.
accomplishing and turning the trajectory of the legacy of your marriage to a different direction than maybe even your parents passed on to you. So,
Yeah.
should I go back and tell them that, or do I just
I
hang
mean, it's been a couple of years, right? It's been a couple rounds. Or was it
of
the
the
last?
conference?
Yeah, I think that you could totally go back and just be like, hey, I'm just gonna invite you again because that's who I am. And but I do think that I think that the cool thing that we get to be a part of is that there are so many incredible marriage conferences out there that I've been to. Maybe you didn't feel like they were incredible, but I usually walk away with a tool or two or a basket of them. But I think the cool thing about Wed Into War is that it is so niche when it comes to marriage ministry. It is for the people that are on the edge of the end. It is for the people that are like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is my last resort. It is for the people that are like, I am sick of just doing the same thing over and over again. Something has to change.
Yeah,
Or the husband that's like, I feel like I'm leading my family into a ditch.
yeah,
I don't know where we're going. How do we even build a mission statement as a
right.
family? So I would say this marriage conference is a conference for builders, for couples that
Yeah.
are
Well,
ready
I
to build
think
together.
also almost lost on some of our Western thinking is the idea of a rite of passage.
Mm,
And so when you get married, that's, symbol
symbolic.
symbolic. I was trying to say simplified, but that's not a word. It's symbolic of this idea that your friends and family come, God, the divine is there, and it's this moment, this rite of passage. Your life is now forever going to be different. And I think that, okay, we do that one. We don't really understand why we do it. We don't understand the transcendence of it. And then we never do one again,
Mm,
until maybe our deathbed or our 40th, birthday or 60th anniversary. And so what I like about the Wed Into War conference is it's not like a church putting on a conference that's going to
mm.
happen every year and come to our thing, come to our thing.
Butts and seats.
Right, butts and seats. But it's actually like we're providing you this opportunity to come to something that may be radically different than you've ever experienced before. And what we're hoping is to put some stones on the ground and say, from this day forward, everything changes.
Mm,
Again,
yeah,
another rite of passage.
right.
And so far, a lot of the feedback we've gotten about the conference is people they are able to put
Yeah,
some
names in
symbolic
place.
flag in the
Yeah.
ground and say, man, this really changed things for me,
Mm.
for
Why?
us.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think we've been through hard stuff,
Mm,
and that hard stuff has manifested itself as not a way out or around, but as a
mm,
way through.
dang.
And we've realized through that the fruit that is actually there when you go through hard things, especially voluntarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is also a place where couples start speaking the same language. Where we hand
Vocabulary is
them
so
like
important.
vocabulary is if you could sum up what into war, it's vocabulary. If you're not a believer, you're not a Christian. Actually, last year we had a wife email us and was like, hey, do you guys talk about the Bible at this conference? Because my husband's not a Christian. I really want to come because we need tools, but I don't know if he'll love it. And I was like, you know what? The conferences pay what you can. It costs $50, but you can put $1 in the donation box. Show up. If you hate it, if he's like angry about it, don't come back the next day. No big deal. No loss. And they came both days,
Yeah.
the entire time.
Yeah. And he talked my ear off.
Tear up the whole time.
I think one of the distinctives of our conference is, yes, we are going to the Bible, which is a library, a collection
Yeah.
of ancient documents. And we're going to that ancient document not with the like, how does this support my dogma? How does this help my doctrine? But we're going to it almost like this is like a resource for how monogamy began and an introduction of monogamy with the idea of the divine. And this thing has stood the test of time. And so I'm coming at it with curiosity and wonder. Like what this thing says about monogamy has really laid the foundation for what we even think about monogamy.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm coming to it with that lens. Now, of course, I believe 100% that God designed marriage, that God, through his son Jesus, has set marriage on a path of rescue. And ultimately, that will be finished in his taking of his bride, the church, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's what I think. What
Yeah.
you think is so important for where your marriage is going to go.
Yeah.
And so we're using the ancient document as a tool, as a foundation, as a cornerstone to build upon, that we might see a legacy of flourishing and
Yeah.
thriving.
I love that. I love how also the tools that we are handing out are not just tools that we've developed or that we've made up or that we've, kind of grabbed from this book and that book and this book. They're like tools that we actually use.
Yeah.
And we've found to work.
Yeah.
And we say, hey, take what works, toss what doesn't. If none of what you get out of the weekend works for you, great. But at least now you have a starting point to say, okay, that didn't work. Let's go find some stuff that is. What is your favorite session? This wasn't the planned podcast, but here we are.
She didn't tell me the plan, so I just
Gonna surprise you. What's your favorite
Surprise.
session at the conference?
I think probably literally the opening session, because we do leave it on this, you know, I obviously don't want to spoil anything, but we leave it on this cliffhanger of like, we are so screwed. Like, man, we have a history of failure stacked up behind us, and the minuscule possibility of success before us. We've got, 40. I think the latest statistic is 44% of marriages since COVID are ending in divorce.
Yeah.
First marriages, second marriages. The data's out as early as 2025, when we're filming this. Is that 60% of second marriages fail, and so yeah, it's dismal. It doesn't look good. Not only that, but if you go back in history, it's been this way for a long
Same.
time. What are we even going to do? You
Yeah.
know? And so as weird and morbid as this sounds, morbid isn't the right word, but as whatever the word doomsy as this sounds, like, I love watching people just be seen in their despair and walk away from that first session. You know, we usually take a break right then.
Yeah.
And I watch them like
okay,
walk
break.
away in silence, you know, just like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah. Okay. I actually feel seen, that somebody sees what I see, you know?
Yeah.
And we have been, miscommunicating for so long. We are speaking different languages, and finally someone is able to put their finger on that pulse.
Yeah.
And then, like, the beginning of the next session, you just pull them out of that despair and start to give them vocabulary and hope and wonder again.
Yeah.
And it's that combination of those two sessions. What about you?
I love that. I think my favorite session is Fighting Fair. I think it's for me personally, it's remembering that conflict is not something to run from, but it's something to run towards, because in the conflict.
That explains so much about you.
stronger.
I don't run towards it, but I have come to voluntarily accept it.
Right. But I like watching the light bulbs go off for couples to be like, oh, especially people who are predominantly avoidant of conflict. They're like, wait, I can I can embrace this. This can actually be done in a safe way. This can actually be done in a way that's not causing more trauma and damage to one another, like the conflict is actually good and whole for my marriage. That's my favorite kind of aha moments
Yeah.
of like you can have a civil discussion that is technically an argument about something and actually find resolution for it. You don't have to just let
And
it go away.
and the fact that like arguing actually gets the truth out.
Yeah,
And the truth is what you need to be set free.
yeah, that's real.
And so it's like the hiding from, I like to say, choosing serenity over clarity,
Mm,
it doesn't get you any closer to freedom.
yeah.
It actually traps you further into a prison
Mm,
of untruth and distrust. And so you using conflict, seeing it actually as a tool to start digging yourself out of this prison of the person you've become that you don't want to be
mm,
because you're in this monogamous covenant, and you've got these kids and you've got this mortgage and you've got this life, instead of that, just living in
yeah,
this suburban tract prison, actually starting to dig our ways out with the truth, not using the truth as a weapon to hurt you or to
yeah,
wound you, but using it as a shovel to dig ourselves out together.
yeah.
And that's that's the power of conflict done right. So yeah, I love that session too.
Yeah, and I also feel like conflict. Maybe this is where we'll sit. Is conflict initially might be you and me against each other. It might initially be the like, let's say the thing, let's feel the thing that you hurt me, I hurt you, but then over time, it becomes this outward strategy towards the enemy to say like, oh, this isn't actually about us, this is about healing your childhood wounding or my childhood, this isn't just about us, this is about building legacy. And so
Yeah.
our conflict about finances is not about who's spending or not spending
Right.
money, it's about what are we building and what's coming after us that wants us to not
Yeah,
build anything.
I'm healing the wounds of my child's self, but I'm also healing the wounds of my father and my
Mm,
grandfather.
yeah,
And when I come up warring against you, I'm not just warring against you or your child's self. I'm warring against
the
the
generation.
generation behind you. And so it's this beautiful reality that if we can have God's eye view on this, if we can get a higher perspective, we actually realize that, man, this is like 1% about me and you.
Yeah,
And it's 99% about what came before us. And if we're unable to conquer what came before us, then we are guaranteed to pass it on
yeah,
to whoever comes behind us.
yeah.
And so, yeah, conflict is not only essential. I wouldn't say I run towards it like you freaking masochistic freak, but it's something I've come to voluntarily accept and even be thankful for. Yeah.
Well, okay, so my quest is for truth. Like that is the core of my Enneagram pursues truth. Like without truth we have nothing. And so if conflict is a way, like you have so graciously highlighted, a way to get to the truth, of course I love running towards it. I don't love fighting. That it's like it's the worst. I feel like it's a waste of time. Why are we even doing this? You should have listened to me in the first place. We wouldn't even be here. I'm just kidding, mostly.
No,
But
you're usually right.
I think it's the pursuit of truth of like, oh, okay, so now we're gonna learn something here. Like something true is gonna come to the surface because of all this
Yeah.
shaking.
Yeah.
So
And it's
I
slow.
don't love it.
Yeah, it's slow. And that's why God designed the marriage to last a lifetime,
Yeah.
because that's how long it takes to
To figure it
dig
out.
out all this
Except for
stuff.
you and me. We're going all the way into heaven.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I think conflict is that's why it's called Wed into War. It's like
Yeah.
embrace the conflict,
Yeah.
embrace the warfare, and understand you're not my enemy. Like I love that
No.
the ancient document literally says be angry.
Mm,
Like and again, this is why I started a conference for guys, because so many times our anger
yeah.
is supposed to be controlled or completely eliminated, and that's just not the reality. Anger is like one of the most powerful emotions, secondary emotion, primary emotion. I don't know, but it's a powerful emotion because it enacts change,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a catalyst
It really
to
does.
say, I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah.
We have to change something.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, anger says be angry. Of course, it ends with not error, not an error, not don't move your arrow. Therefore, don't shoot the wrong target. So if I'm to be angry, it's not towards you.
Yeah.
It's not towards my son or my daughter. It's towards the enemy that is behind the masterful tearing down of the covenant.
Yeah.
And so I can actually pinpoint his involvement, or even if you want to use him as a metaphor, you know, I can pinpoint the involvement of the great metaphor that stands against that which is binding us together,
Yeah.
is the way I try and think about it.
When do you have like a moment when you realized that that passage was giving you permission to feel anger? And did previously, like your prior understanding of that passage, did you feel like anger was bad
Well, yes,
or that you
I
shouldn't feel
think
it?
as a young Christian man, I think I was always trying to be the lamb holding Jesus, you know, who would gather you into his bosom and cry over you. I think that, you know, especially coming from like a worship leader background, like I wanted to be David
Yeah,
crying in the field,
the artist.
you know, and just forgot completely that he's also David who beheaded the giant, you know.
Mm,
He's David who fought off the lion, you know. And so you know, and I think Jesus perfectly embodies both of these realities,
mm,
lion and lamb, you know. And so I think that when I was writing the book and understanding the importance of conflict, the importance of warfare, really understanding my own trauma and how it really goes back to my great grandparents, you know, and if you're able to track that back, you can see that the vices you have or the addictions you have, they are passed down. They're not
mm.
something you just, you
Wake
know,
up one day.
fall into.
Yeah.
And so realizing that, it really made me so freaking mad. And then what you had gone through as a child of
Mm,
abuse, man, and now understanding that it's partly my role to carry some of the blame for that and some of the negative emotion of that,
mm,
that really pisses me off. It makes me very, very mad. What happened to you? And it's like, and so I was trying to like suppress this anger, and I just finally realized, like, I'd be mad at you for holding me accountable to something that happened to you in your past.
mm.
And I'd be like, oh no, I'm supposed to be mad
Yeah.
because that's an atrocity that happened. But it's not you that I'm mad at, even though it's coming out right now in negative emotion pointed to me. I need to be mad at something behind you.
Mm,
And so I think it was that reality. It just shook it up for me. And so, yeah, I've been, you know, violently angry ever since, but not towards you or the
right.
kids or the dog.
Yeah,
Hard as I try.
there's this relationship with anger that you feel it towards atrocity, but it's almost like this. I think Jen said it of you once, where it's like the protector stood up, like the protector in you was like, oh no, you can also be free because there's this version of the lion and the lamb that lives inside of you, you know,
Yeah.
and how you, I don't know if it's like that you go in tandem between them or if they both exist at the exact same
Well,
time.
I think it's they're trying to be perfectly integrated into each other. I think it's what Jesus said, you know,
Mm,
be wise as a serpent. Better at your enemy's tactics than he is,
yeah.
but be harmless as a dove. And so, yeah, if anybody's in danger, I'm going to be the first to stand up and physically put my body in the way of that
Mm,
through the power of anger and courage.
yeah.
But I'm also going to be the one that is trying to be a healer
Yeah.
to everyone around me, would be the way I put it.
I love it. That's true. It's true of you.
So, what did you want to talk about?
Well, we don't have time now because we spent the last 20 minutes just talking about this, which I freaking love.
I mean, time is it's a man-made.
Tell me about the legacy session. This is the very end of the conference. The conference it's a commitment. It's Friday night, Saturday all day. By the end,
But there's snacks.
there's so many snacks. There's like tables full of snacks. By the end, I don't want you to give away the payoff, but can you like skim over the top of the legacy session?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea here is that if you can be faithful with this relationship, the marriage you found yourself in, that if you can just start there, as small and seemingly unproductive to society as it seems,
Mm,
it actually is the reality of heaven on earth. It is how we change the world.
mm,
Because if I can get this right, just to get this right
mm.
means I have to get this right. I can't get this right, this right, these right. I can't get this right without getting this right.
Yeah.
And so I have to first go to war with myself, my doubts, my
Mm,
insecurities, the lies that I've believed, the agreements I've made with the enemy, the trauma that's inside me, my child, my family of origin. I have to go deal and wrestle with that.
Mm,
I bring some of that into this. We wrestle through it together, right? And then
Yeah.
we make it through again, not around, not out,
yeah.
but we make it through. And that empowers us to actually be good parents and caregivers
Mm,
who are now helping heal generational trauma that we're even passing down as we're trying to heal it.
Yeah.
And then our kids maybe like a pendulum swinging closer to center. My son, like maybe he has same vices, but he has more control of them, or he understands them sooner, and so he masters them sooner, and then he passes that on to his son. He passes it. Now that's just our family. Now
Mm,
imagine the lives that we touch. Now, I mean, one of the greatest points of this is like my pornography addiction.
mm,
It's this dark, shadowy, disgusting place about my life, and yet it's become fertilizer for so many now
Yeah.
outside because I'm battling it, I'm mastering it, and
Yeah.
I'm pulling people along. It's the same idea. So the community around you becomes stronger because you are strong. And if the
Yeah.
community is strong,
Absolutely.
then the city is strong. And if the city is strong, then the state is strong. And the state is strong, the nation is strong. And if our nation is strong, we're going to change the world.
Yeah.
We're going to bring heaven to earth.
Yeah.
And so that's, man, getting the perspective. Like I had to understand that what was at stake if I failed was so eternal
Mm,
that I had to be like, whoa, this is actually worth going
it
all in,
matters. Yeah.
leveraging all that I am to get healthy and whole to make this thing work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
that's the last session in a
That's
very short
it
nutshell.
is very. I'm proud of you. You genuinely skimmed it. You didn't get
I
into
mean, I've
too many
had to
surprises.
I've had to learn how to do it because it's always the session getting cut when we're out of time.
But it's become the thing that I would say for, a few couples wed into war conference has become the rite of passage. It's become the thing that they show up to every year, not because they don't know everything that's going to happen, but because it's their yearly reminder of like, oh yeah, this is why we can make it to June because of what we learned in February. We can make it to December. We can make it to 2026. Let's how many I love the thing that we say to couples is like, how much longer, how long can you hold on? Let's just make it till then. How much longer? Let's just make it till then.
Yeah.
And the goal is not that people wouldn't get divorced, because that goal is, it's too small.
Yeah.
The goal is that people would find healing and wholeness so that they would inevitably change their
Yeah. I
home
mean,
and change the world.
the idea for me is that the goal is that we would align with the divine's purpose for this covenant.
Mm,
So, you know, he's the one who said, what God has joined together, let no man separate.
yeah.
And so we're like, so we shouldn't cause people to divorce. Well, but that really does say is that that's his job.
Yeah.
It's above my pay grade. He decides when the covenant has fulfilled its purpose, not me.
Yeah.
And so wed into war is really about just let the divine accomplish his purpose through this,
Let the divine have the place.
which is found in the mouth of many counselors, found in wisdom, found in therapy, found in trauma recovery. All these things are the methodology by which God is bringing about his purpose for your covenant relationship.
Yeah. I love it.
So
Well,
the conference is February 21st,
for 21st and 22nd.
which is your birthday.
Don't tell people that. I'm cutting that out. 21st and 22nd. We're so excited. It's $50 a person, but it's pay what you can.
Pay what you can.
You can pay $1. You can pay $5.
Got an eyelash right here, by the way.
Thank you.
Still there.
And we're so excited about it.
Yeah, we're so excited.
It's gonna make it
It's gonna be great.